Hello everyone, welcome back to our second edition of the Interactive Ustream Book Club. We are of course discussing the book 1984, and today the pages that we're discussing, pages 43 to 92, so I hope that you guys have been keeping up and reading. Let's see, totally got all my notes again because all the stuff, crazy stuff happened in this chunk of the book. Let me get my chat going. Where's that screen? You guys. Hello. Don't know. Show users. There we go. Okay, so there's 3 people, I guess. Alright, and where'd my... Oh my god, I lost you guys. Where are you? There we are. Okay, let's see, 11:02. Obviously, the first like 5 minutes is just like getting everything adjusted and ready to go. Not what I need. Chat, here we go. So many pop-ups. Why do I have so many windows open? Okay, here we go. Finally got it all in the same spot. Got the chat here, social stream, chat options, cool. All right, I think we're finally ready to start the book club and actually discussing 1984, of course. So, let's see, we continued on page 43, and our main character, Winston, has a friend slash comrade, because you learn quickly that in this society of where 1984 is taking place, they don't consider them friends, they consider them comrades, and it's just different. So he also works within the government, and he is in the research department as a newspeak specialist. And what else did I say? Yeah, so it's kind of weird that the one person that our main character Winston has kind of attached himself to is also someone really heavily involved in this crazy, overpowering government. So not really sure how much we can trust this new character that we're introduced to. Let me see. Oh, another thing that pops up is that it seems that random things go on famine, like buttons and something else super random. And then at this time, we was talking about that's on famine, it's really hard to get, is just a simple shaving razor. And honestly, the first thing that popped into my head was this something that was strategically chosen by the government to go on famine? Like, did they really do that on purpose and take those things off the market, create that famine? Or really was it just super random? That's just what happened. They ran out of razors. Who knows? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below if you're watching this later on YouTube, or if you're watching this live right now. There is a chat stream going. I see that there's some people there. They're just deciding not to be so talkative right now. So I'm just going to keep going. Let's see. So Winston's friend, it's kind of an odd spelling. I don't know if it's Sam or if it's Smee. I'm not really sure of the pronunciation of his name. But he is, you find out that he's working on the 11th edition of the Newspeak Dictionary, where they are not creating new words and adding, making a bigger dictionary, kind of like what we do today. Every year we add new words to our dictionary. For this version, they actually delete words, and you find out that it's an ongoing process, and by 2050, so right now it's like we assume 1984, by 2050 they are going to not have like any, they essentially say there's going to be one word. That's it. And that's kind of terrifying that they're just like slashing words and synonyms and antonyms like it's nobody's business. Da, da, da. Oh yeah, on page 46 they say the revolution will be complete when the language is perfect. And that is just terrifying because it's not a perfect language if you're constantly deleting words. The whole thing about language and what makes it so special is that it's constantly evolving and we're making new words and not deleting them. It kind of defeats the purpose. I say something about thought crime, but I can't remember what I'm referring to. I guess, I think it's just that the fact that thought crime becomes a lot easier to prosecute a person on when you don't have a huge, wide vocabulary. And so they're just constantly limiting their people, and it's fucking terrifying. It's kind of what's happening now. So let me see. I say something about a page 52 quote. I know what I'm talking about. Page 52. Yes, okay. So with our main character, Winston, yes, he does work for the government, but then you also catch him with these moments of individual thought, and he's kind of like overstepping boundaries and taking huge risks. And so he has this quote on page 53, and I'm not finding it in my book. I think I have it written here. He says that he has a feeling that you had been created of something that you... No. That doesn't make any sense. Totally wrote that wrong. Where is it in the book? Ooh, it was such a good quote, too. Here it is. Okay. Always in your stomach and in your skin, there was sort of a protest, a feeling that you had been cheated of something that you had a right to. So Winston's having this constant battle with himself where he is kind of essentially going along with Big Brother and whatever is going on in this society, and then also he's resisting it and realizing that it's not so right and it's going a little bit too far. See. Oh, another weird thing that keeps coming up is that Winston is constantly mentioning who is going to be vaporized and never seen again, and he knows that he is one of those people where that's completely possible. Really, really terrifying at the same time. Let's see what's going on with this chat, and if anyone is even watching, because I have no idea if I'm just talking to myself or if anyone's actually watching this. Who knows? Let's go back to the chat. There we go. There's someone. I mean, do you guys have any people in the live chat? Do you have any opinions on anything that I've brought up so far, or you want me to just like keep powering through? I can keep talking about this section of the book, 1984. I can keep going, but it's kind of more fun when there's people in the chat interacting. Last week when we did this, there's people like constantly spouting out. So yeah, maybe that'll happen, maybe not. Maybe you guys are just feeling shy this week. That's okay. This chunk of the book gets kind of intense, so maybe you don't know what to think yet. Yeah, so people get vaporized. You realize that their main source of punishing people isn't really. They do have a jail system and they do lock people up, but that's not what happens most commonly. And instead, you just disappear and you're vaporized and you're gone forever. And that is essentially one of the most terrifying things that a government could have over their people. The fact that you can just disappear and be gone forever. And there's no record of you. They erase everything. And you didn't exist. Ever. If that's what happens to you. So scary. So scary. Oh god. Okay, so if that wasn't scary enough, my next point was that thought crime, it wasn't enough. They apparently also have something called face crime, where not only can they like just go into your mind and realize that you're thinking something that you shouldn't be thinking and that it's technically illegal, but they're just going to go ahead and read your facial recognition constantly, and if you just have like a weird facial tic, that's going to give you away, and you could be potentially fucked and arrested or even vaporized if whatever you were reacting to was bad enough in Big Brother's mind. If whatever they're thinking, so scary. I've noticed the destroying records theme. Yes, constantly. They're just constantly changing history and rewriting things and making it to be whatever Big Brother wants to project into this society. They have complete control. Complete control. Yeah, basically taking away someone's identity. They honestly they erase all of your records, so you didn't exist. One thing that I did find really odd, my next point, was that apparently prostitution isn't that big of a deal, yet the party is working to destroy the act of sex by removing all pleasure. I thought it was a really weird balance, but it kind of makes sense where it's like there's this act of prostitution and it still exists, and then Winston explains that if you get caught, that is one of those situations where you would get put in jail, and he says it's only maybe like a 5-year maximum sentence, whereas something else where it's like really literally going against Big Brother and like maybe one of Big Brother's ideals, that's when you're going to get vaporized and you'll just disappear forever. But for some reason, prostitution's just, it's kind of slipped under the radar. It's not that big of a deal. But then at the same time, it's so fucked up because they have like changed sex and its role in society, and people only do it in order to procreate, and that's the only reason. They've completely deleted all pleasure from sex and have made it this really awkward thing. Like, it made me really awkward reading this section of the book when they're discussing it, and it was like, please don't let our government get that far. Like, they can't take that away from us. It's just not fair. I believe Winston has a very little memory of his childhood. It's very, very true. I'm actually going to get into that later because that really comes into play later in this, like, chunk of the book we're talking about, pages 43 to 92, if you're just joining us now. It is 11:14. I do this show book club thing for 30 minutes, so we've got another 15 to talk about what's happening. And yeah, Winston definitely has very little memory of his childhood and what society was before the revolution, and you can tell that he has more than a curiosity about it, and he really, really wants to know what life was like before the revolution. My next point. Oh, I question. What do you guys think of the Proles? And said that on page 64 he mentions that Proles and animals are free. So it's kind of like this subset within the government it's like they have their own identity. I don't know. He keeps mentioning that, like, the only faith or hope that remains is within these proles, and I don't know. What do you guys think about him? Do you trust? Do you think that there is hope within them? If it's even possible for them to like rebel against Big Brother and what's going on, or are they like a core set part of the government and they're already working within it, and there's nothing that's gonna be able to stop that? I haven't made my mind yet. I don't know. So let me know down in the comments below if you guys have an opinion on it. If you guys are in the chat, let me know. Let's see. Oh, another super key quote. Page 65. I have really bad handwriting, so I need to read it from the book. 65. Okay, here we go. So let's see what he's talking about in reference. Oh yeah, okay, so he's talking about history and what was going on before the revolution, and there's this quote that really jumped out at me. Page 65 says, "The only evidence to the contrary was the mute protest in your own bones, the instinctive feeling that the conditions you lived in were intolerable and that some other time they must have been different." He knows. He knows that the world has changed drastically and that the world that he's living in is not ideal. There's a protest in your own bones. Like, it's kind of what I feel. Like, with our government and what's going on now, you just know that it's not right and you don't agree at all. And you know that at some other time it had to have been different, and it's possible for it to be different in the future because it's not good what's going on, so it can't continue because we're stronger than that and we can overpower it. But that was kind of a little ranty blurb, whatever. Someone in the chat just said, "You just kicked my mind in the balls," and that is awesome. That is pretty much the whole reason why I was so excited that you guys wanted to kick off this book club with 1984 rather than just like some silly, like nonchalant, like summer fun reading book. You guys were just like, no, we need to discuss something real, and that's fucking awesome. Love you guys for that. We're doing on time. Okay, I think we've got enough time to go through the rest of this stuff in this chapter. So yeah, that page 65 quote, whew, really hit me. But then just a few pages later, on page 70, Winston comes to this conclusion: "I understand how, I do not understand why." And that is kind of another really huge parallel with what's going on in our own society and government today in the United States, where it's like we're really coming to terms with understanding how it's happening and the changes and like gain of control that they're possessing with the whole NSA leak and all of that. But we don't fully understand why yet. Why our government is so untrusting of its people in general, and why they need to go to such far extremes. It's just, it's not good. It's not good. Okay, so what I love about this book is that it doesn't explain everything just right off the bat with the whole newspeak. They are constantly introducing new terms, and so another one that they bring up towards the end of this little section that we're discussing is own life. And that is essentially the idea of individualism and the fact that Big Brother doesn't want you to have that. And own life is like a discriminatory term. It's a bad thing. Like you don't want own life. If you get caught with the thought crime that you have individualism, you're going to be in trouble. And again, just terrifying. So, excuse me. So this section of the book, pages 43 to 92, the first half of it is kind of like not so action packed, not really that much is happening. You're kind of just like learning more about Winston and who he is and his thought process and how he works. But then it's like the last like 20 pages of this section. Oh my god, Winston just kind of like grows some balls and really goes out on some huge limbs. So he follows an old man into a pub because he sees him and is like, that guy right there, he's been an adult since before the revolution. Like, he obviously is going to have memories of what life was like, and he is just so curious that he takes that risk and he follows this old man into a pub in order to question him about the olden days, because obviously we were talking about it earlier, Winston doesn't really have a lot of memories. The revolution had already started taking place when he was in his adult life, so he doesn't know anything different. My question for you guys is, was that a risk worth taking? You know, I mean, he obviously is having this, like, conversation within his head before he actually physically goes into the pub and is wondering if he should really do it. And he goes for it. He totally goes for it. So his main thing is he wants to know if life was better or worse before the revolution. Unfortunately, he quickly realizes that this old man is like a crazy old man, and as much, I think he calls him rubbish, and he just doesn't make any sense. He's not getting any coherent answers from this old man, and he's like talking about this random poem. I don't know. Someone in the chat said in Michael Moore's movie on capitalism, he talks about the bank memo where the 1% refer to the 99% as serfs. This might be the reason for control. I definitely really agree. There's the 99%, and we're not in full control. There's the 1% that's controlling us. But let's see, we're kind of coming to the end, so let's get back to 1984. Yeah, this old man, he's just not giving him answers, and it just kind of frustrates Winston. So he quickly realizes that he's going to give up on this. He's not going to get anywhere. So the second that he exits this pub, he realizes that he is standing in front of the antique shop where he had previously bought the diary, or the blank book that he's writing in. So again, takes a huge risk by going into this antique store, but this one in particular is a risk that seems to pay off, because the old man that runs the antique store kind of does have more of a grasp on his memory, and is kind of feeding Winston more and more information about life before the revolution and what things were like, kind of. Let's see. So yeah, he has more information on life in the past and is a bit more put together. Winston has this crazy thought where he goes into an upstairs room in the antique store. It's not like one of the main areas of the store. And Winston has this crazy idea that he's going to rent out that room for like a month. To do what? What does Winston want to do in this room where he knows it doesn't have a telescreen and he's way more protected? And he's going to do all this secret stuff. What is he going to do? What is his plan? We don't quite know yet. But this section of the book, we end it with he comes out of the antique store, and the woman from the fiction department, which he's kind of had these weird feelings about, doesn't really know if she is part of the thought crime police or not. She's just like some regular woman that just happens to be always around him, or what's up with her. So he like freaks the fuck out essentially and thinks that she's following him. So manages to ditch her, and I don't know. Do you think that she was really following him, or was it just a coincidence that she just happened to be there when he came out of the store? Is Winston just paranoid? We will find out next week. Let me see, 11:25. So we're doing okay on time. So let's see, for next week we're going to be reading pages 93 to 148, and we'll be discussing that next week. Let me know if you guys have an issue with the time, or if you want to switch it to Saturday rather than Sunday. Kind of don't really have a super big preference. I just really wanted to offer the book club on a weekend so more people are available, but earlier in the day versus later in the day, Saturday or Sunday, doesn't really matter to me. So let me know down in the comments below what works best for you, or let me know right now in the live chat. Let's see what people have said. Also with Morgan Spurlock's Inside Man, I don't think I ever saw that Inside Man. He refers to all the money the government will lose if the truth about cannabis comes out. Control equals money. Definitely, that is a huge play behind why this government in 1984 and why our government today wants to in control, and that's money. Unfortunately, it's always gonna have a huge play in shit. So yes, that was 1984. We were talking about pages 43 to 92. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next week. Again, we're reading pages 93 to 148, and I will see you then. Bye.